Good evening and welcome to another video in the Artful Coder series. In this video we're looking at clean architecture and in particular the application layer of our solution. In the previous video we created a model in the domain layer which was make, model, number of wheels, colour, ratio. Yes, you could go into a lot more detail, make this a lookup, and by that I mean a virtual navigation property. You can have a model for make, for make and models. Let's keep it simple. So what we need to do first is add another project to our existing solution, and it's going to be another class library. So let's go next, and let's call this, and we need to put it in the same folder as our cars. So let's do select folder, and we're going to call this cars dot application. Okay, click next. .NET 7 was the one I had available at the time of recording this video. So click create. And there's a couple of things we need to do. So let's get rid of this. Oh, yes. What we're going to do next is we're going to add some references in. We need some dependencies. So the first thing we're going to do is add a project reference. So instead of trying to hunt around for DLL that it compiles and link it, no, just add a project reference. And what that's now said is that we have a dependency on the layer below. So the next thing we do is add a couple of NuGet packages. So let's go NuGet packages. It's going to load and do a whole thing. So let's go with, we're going to be using Mediator to do that. If I can type, it's down here. So we're going to add that in there, install, apply. So we've got Mediator. The next one we're going to add is Entity Framework there. Now, at the time of this video is the latest version is 8.2, but because we've got .NET, that's more for .NET 8. We're going to go to an slightly old version. It's .NET 7, and we can of course upgrade this when we go through it. So let's just do that. Apply, click accept, and then we're going to add SQL Server. You can add one of your choice. Give it a second. Load that in there. So the core 3 you're going to add. It's got a whole load of stuff here. Click accept, and then the tools as well. And we're going to add that there and do install, click apply, accept. So that's our references for now. So we'll create a new folder. I'm going to call this core. I always like to call it core. And we're going to do add a folder to this, new folder called common. Do there. And we're also going to add another folder called interfaces, and we add a new folder in here called use cases. There we go. And the next thing we'll do is just do something that will help us to plumb it in later. So we're going to a brand new class. We're going to call this configure services. The name inside will be different. So we're going to do that, and we're going to create a new namespace. This is very important. So when you're doing this to plumb it in, you want to call it Microsoft dot dependency extensions dot dependency injection. There you go. And it's a public static class of dependency injection. Public static class, and it's dependency injection. And we create a new static method, public static method, and it's going to be of an iService collection. And it's sort of done it there, but we're going to call this add application services. Okay, and the only thing it's going to return is just tab in return services. That's the only thing it's going to return. And the next thing we need to do is I like to bring curly brackets down just so you can obviously see it's part of the same bracket. It's services dot add mediator. It's already there. And we're going to pass it a config. And we're just going to return that. I'm going to say cfg dot register service from assembly, and you will need to import the system.collection section. Do that, and then what we can do is say assembly dot get execute assembly. So that's that bit done, and the last bit of kind of plumbing we need to do is we need an interface for our DB context. Let's go to class and call interface. We're going to say here if you may have many contexts, so say cars DB context. Okay, and we want, let's keep it public for now, but we can change this, and then we're going to say DB set of type R, and it is cars and get, and then you're going to want a public task or int, and it's save changes async, and it passes in there cancellation token, and it's going to do can token, and we're not going to say default, we'll just say cancellation token, and that's all we're going to have in there. So that's your interface will be used when the infrastructure layer handles connections to the database. This is a way that we can use that interface and connect to a database in our use cases. When it's all compiled and built up, it should just work. So now if we go to add a new folder, we're going to get excited thing of adding our use cases. So create a subdirectory called cars. Then you want to add a new class and call this add car. It can be whatever you want. And we're going to do that. And we're going to bring in mediator up here. Okay. So the first bit is when this use case gets invoked, which will show in our web API layer, is it will pass in request information. And the way this is mapped is in a record, which is like a class but not a full class. So let's do add car request. Yes, there you go. I can type, and what is it going to return? It's a type of by request, but is it going to return a var? Is it going to return an integer? So then you can handle that later. So just create an int. And what we're going to do is do that. Go back to our car model. And we're just going to simply keep them consistent. It can be whatever you want. But for now, keep them consistent. We'll just take out that. Technically, we're not going to set it from here either. So we could just do a get, because let's do that there. So leave that for now, and then we're going to want public class handler, and it's going to implement I request handler, and we're going to pass in our request. So this is what gets passed in, and int return is an int. And then what we're going to need as well is it's complaining because we haven't implemented bundle function. So create private read only by parse. There you go. DB context. Now we create a constructor. Click add class handler, and it's going to pass in our DB context. There's some IntelliSense. There you go. So you've now got, and you can pass in whatever you want to as well. So then we'll need the actual method that gets called. So public is going to return a task of type int. It's asynchronous. We're going to type async task int, and this is handle, and this passes in type add our request, and it also passes in the cancellation token. Okay, so we're going to simply return declare a new int, and you could do lots of validation, etc. But just to keep it quite simple for now, we'll just return new ID. Now we'll put it in try catch block because we may want to have exception handling, which we will do in the next video to build it up a bit, and then we'll show you how to add middleware to effectively get what you want to do what you need to. So first thing we need to do is map our request data onto our object. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. For clean code, you probably have a separate method that you would then map it back, but just for the to simply explain things, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. So let's do new car, and it's new car, and we're going to set the parameters just straight from the request. We'll say model, AI is going to kick in. It says it will do, so number, is it number of car? Okay, let's see that number. Let's type that again, number. Oh, why is it not picking the car up? Ah, because what you also need to do is do using cars dot domain. So you need to bring your 4 dot models dot cars fish. So bring that, you've got a car there, so we should now wheels equals, there you go, follow that, and because they're the same, they recognise each other. So original there. So what we've got there is a brand new car with map.data. So yes, you would put this in another function and keep code tidy about validation and that as well. So just going to keep this simple, just pure straight. So we're going to wait db context dot cars add async await db context dot pass the cancellation token in, and we're going to say new ID equals new car dot car ID, and that in essence is our very first use case created. You just repeat for the rest of them, and that is it. So that is effectively our application layer built. So there's no more to do to it to plumb it up and things like that. And the next video will concentrate on is on a bit more enhanced features or possibly the infrastructure layer. So I want to just get a basic plumbing of all this put together so that you can see it from just one use case and you can expand it out. I don't want to put loads of logic in one video, then you're thinking, well, I've got to do this and this, break it down. So I've just said, well, here we go. We've got our what we'll call and build a web API. We've got our interface for accessing the database, and then we've also got our first use case. And Mediator's really good at this, is it allows you to, in a very simple way, create services on your web API and pass requests through. We're going to have some middleware eventually that will allow us to handle certain types of exception, and then you can add your middleware in and say, yep. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, keep tuned for the next video.